It's some high tech stuff.
It is. I'm not with you.
Erica, this high tech.
It is.
It's
Listen, I thought
not.
I was doing something with my what you call it, my robot friend. This
Yeah.
Listen, I had to figure it out, y'all. Welcome.
Yes.
Hey,
Welcome.
hey, everybody. Oh, thank you so much for joining us tonight for our special edition of our community session called the Founders Table. We wanted to have a really just kind of transparent and vulnerable conversation with, when I'm telling you, two women that are like on the forefront and doing the thing and not waiting for anyone to accomplish the work in our communities. These two are definitely, people that you want to have on your team and actually doing the work. So tonight, well, if you know, I'll start off. I'm Brittany, Black Girl Health Collective. And our whole premise is just to create spaces to make beneficial connections and provide spaces to have joy and also learning. And our ultimate goal is to make sure that you know, Black and brown people, our communities know that when they're in healthcare, that and they're in a space with a provider, there are two experts in that room. The expert of the provider with his clinical experience and your expertise with of your lived experience, and really just making sure that people have autonomy in care. But that's a little bit about what we do, and we really believe that community is a place of healing, and just trying to get back to the roots of like how can we care for each other better, how can we make beneficial connections. There's so much good work going on out here and people just don't know, and we want to create a burning platform and amplify all of the great work that is happening, all of our wins, because if not us, who, right? So tonight we are having a conversation with Miss Erica Allen, who is the founder of Do Care Doula Foundation and the Growth Family Resource Center. And we're also having a conversation with Councilwoman Shané Darby, who is the founder of Black Mothers in Power and also the Black Mothers in Power Center. Um, so we're so excited to have you all here and hear about your work. um, I guess there's a lot of places that we could start, especially with like what is happening or what has happened recently in Delaware, with the new passing of legislation, with Medicaid reimbursing doulas for their care. But let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. So I'm gonna pass it off to you, Erica, and let you share just about yourself, kind of what led you to the work, and what it looks like for you.
Sure. So my name is Erica Allen. I'm the executive director and founder of Do Care Doula Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit located in Delaware, with the mission of decreasing Black birth disparities. The way that we do this work is by training Black and brown doulas, as well as providing subsidized doula support and providing a lot of community outreach in the form of childbirth and lactation education, community baby showers, and much more. We just recently, as you said, opened Growth Family Resource Center. And just to back up a little bit, what brought me to this work, because I'm on speed right now. Um, what brought me to this work is originally I am an LPN, a licensed practical nurse, and while in nursing school, I learned a little bit more in detail the role of a doula, and it just resonated with me. And when I got the opportunity to take a doula training, I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. So that's how I ended up becoming a doula. And then once I started, like, I noticed a lot of people couldn't afford to pay out of pocket for doula support. So that kind of led me to start my nonprofit, where I was able to get paid, but also provide the support to people without it being a barrier to them.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I feel like I had like I feel like we all got to a point, or maybe not all of, but I've gotten to the point where I was like, you know what, this is it. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
What about you, Shané?
Yeah, so my name's Shané Darby. I run a nonprofit in the state of Delaware. It's called Black Mothers in Power. We were founded in 2019, and we're really addressing the racial disparity that exists in maternal care, specifically for Black women, unapologetically. Um, that is who we're focusing on because of the numbers that exist. So for me, I believe I got into this work one due to my own personal experience, right? So I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and anxiety back in like 2016. I had two kids back to back. Wouldn't highly not recommend it, but I had two kids back to back, and for me, it triggered something mentally, and I felt like I was on a downward spiral in regards to like my life, how I felt about myself, the things that I was doing, how I felt as a mom, and I remember I got to one point where I was like, either I'm going to have to get it together or I'm not coming back from this. So I decided to get it together. And in getting it together, I have always been driven by community and wanting to do community work. So I joined an organization called Network Delaware. And Network Delaware, they teach you how to create campaigns around issues and to be able to have that conversation and network and make change around that issue. So for me, I was on everybody's else issue campaign. And then finally it got to a point where I had to I gotta find my niche. And what was really what I really loved, or what I really love talking about, was one, being black, being a black woman, and being a parent is a major part of my identity and who I am and the experiences. And I know that I was not the only one to experience postpartum depression, right? But we just didn't talk about it. So for me, it really came from lived experience, just my natural passion for wanting to do community work. And that's how I got into even have I never thought in my a million years of I never thought I'd be running a nonprofit, like, at all, right? So those conversations and being able to run a nonprofit now has not been in my dreams at all. So I'm happy just to be here to be a part of this conversation. So yeah, so I know that I know Erica and I feel like in this work, I'm gonna wait for Brittany to join, but I think we can kind of talk about our experiences. But I know for me specifically, and getting into this work, I want to say, like, for me, Network Delaware put me into places and rooms with healthcare providers, people who were already in this space at like a rate that I can't even explain, because Black Mothers in Power started in 2019. By the end of 2020, we were a nonprofit. We got so much support. It was a hot topic in the community. And I remember one of our first events was back in January 2019 or 2020, right before COVID became like a thing and we shut down. We had a 3-part series at the library. And I got one of the small rooms. I did not expect the turnout that came for those 3 nights. We had to adjust and go to a bigger room. It was packed. There were young, old, black, white healthcare providers, doulas, midwives, so many people that we were connecting to. So for me, it was really like, how do I then take this energy and transform it into a thing? So I don't know what your experience was like, Erica.
Well, what I can say is, as you already know, Shané, like, it was also because of you, like, with the work that I've been able to do. Because even with having a conversation with you, the way I got my start is we were talking one day, and I was like, what about Kent County? And you were like, well, go ahead and start it. And then here I go.
That sounds like me.
That is true, Shané. You bring up something and she's gonna tell you to go ahead and do it. So here I am. And so I do have to take a moment to say that, like, you have done amazing work through Black Mothers in Power. But you've also been able to kind of share the love and even help with like getting our first doula cohort trained, like that's major. Like, so Black Mothers in Power is definitely, I would say, they have been the foundation for my organization, and I'm sure others as well. And then still to this day, like, we work together. We just did a doula training, a weekend doula training together. So that's
Yeah.
been a big part, is working together within this community, in this state.
Yeah, and one thing I learned, like, in this work, it's enough space and room for all of us. And I know that for me, I understand my capacity. I'm one person, and you understand, running a nonprofit, sometimes you're the only one making decisions, the only one who shows up for a meeting, the only one. So, right. So then you become the one making the decisions, and that can become a lot. So I know my capacity, I can only hit so many people. But I know that when we create a network, like you're in Kent, we got Bella and Sussex, we got Teresa and Janae, Dr. Michelle Drew, all these different people doing different work, Latoya, Brittany, like we all come together, we can hit the whole state easily. And that's what I want to do, but I know I can't do it. And I don't want to do it, right? That would be too much. So like building partnerships specifically for me, with especially Black women and Black-led organizations who's doing this work, is so key and important. And I know, Brittany, you jumped back in, but we were just talking about just our start, like some of the things, like I talked about I had a 3-part listening session. It was packed. We talked about the amount of support that we got and like where that went. So I don't know if you want to jump in now.
No, I appreciate it. I'm cracking up. I'm so glad that it was still on, right? Because of course you were talking about 10 out of 10 do not recommend when the baby turns off the router, right? Like I'm
Listen, these kids will humble you, okay?
no, I appreciate it. No. But thank you so much for telling your stories. I'm glad that y'all were at least still up, because it's all about you all talking about your experiences and how, like, what led you to the work and stuff like that. So I absolutely agree and resonate with what the piece that I jumped in on, Shané, when you were talking about it's all about making like these connections and like kind of like reach one, teach one, and put each other on to be it, because it's all about our communities, right? Like, and like you said, there is enough resources out here, and it sometimes is really hard for us to get out of our own way and the scarcity mentality, right? Because we've been conditioned to think in that way. But it's an active practice, right? Like we have to force ourselves to get out of the scarcity mindset, because it doesn't serve us, and it doesn't serve our communities. So I don't know. That's my thought.
So like I totally agree. So just coming in this space and then hearing like when new organizations come up or people reach out to me, I'm like, how do I provide support in a way? And I don't want to recreate nothing either. So
right.
It's like, perfect. Oh, you doing that? Bet. Come over here, right?
Right.
So but yeah, definitely. So I know some of the questions that you have, and one is about what within reproductive health in Delaware do you feel needs to shift or change? So I don't know if we want to pivot into that conversation about systems and the experience. So,
absolutely. I mean,
no, I don't know if Erica wanted to go, but I can't.
Erica, you want to go first, or you want Shané to go first and talk about?
Shané, you can go ahead. I'm over here having a coughing spell.
No, you're fine. I know. And y'all send all the good vibes to Erica, because she hopped on tonight and she has been battling and going through it. So all of the good energy and vibes her way. Yes.
Yes.
No, Shané, I was gonna say, if you want to start, does it make sense to start give historical context for people that might not, I don't know, any historical background maybe regarding like repro health in Delaware that you think might be helpful?
Right. I think for the most part, and I think about the state of Delaware, I'm very critical of Delaware. But I think for the most part around reproductive health, I feel like Delaware, we are further along than most people. Because I really think about like the conversation like around abortion care and like what happened to a lot of states when Roe versus Wade was overturned. We have a state of we have elected officials who really believe in a community of people who really believe in women having reproductive health care, right? And including abortion and these different things. Now, is there room for growth? Always, right? But I also understand, right, that in certain areas, Delaware is actually further along than what I originally thought around a lot of things, right? And then I also think that even though there have been some challenges here and there, for the most part, they have been open to this conversation about doulas. Like, for the most part, like, sometimes we get pushback, but for the most part, I have had open arms around this conversation of like, how do we integrate doula into our healthcare system? So about Repo Health in Delaware, I think we're a little bit more advanced than most places. I feel like they're open, and there's definitely more room to grow. Like, I remember when my first time ever going to Dover to the state legislator. I never been there except for stuff for Black Mother Empower. I never had to go, like at all. And I remember the first time I met a state representative. Her name was Melissa Minor Brown, a Black woman, and Network Delaware taught us how to do policy writing, right? How to write policies. And I remember I went up to her and she talked to me like I thought like like for me it was like a disconnect because I was never connected to that community, and I thought like talking to an elected official was like, oh my gosh, right? Like I don't know, like it was very different for me to get into this space. But I want to say is that she was like, oh yeah, let's do it. So I always had like, I felt like always for the most part very open and welcome to things that want to change around Repo Health in the state of Delaware. So I don't know if that's been y'all same experience, but for the most part we are, but there is some change that does happen in regards to like moving it a little bit faster, and sometimes we can be the first. So I think a lot of times we wait for another state to do it when we could just be the first to do it, right? So yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I think.
And also, just to clear, okay, so I guess I feel like there's a little piece of context too, because or a consideration. I'm thinking about back to like there was an episode of the show on Comedy Central. I think it was a Daily Show or something. I can't remember the name. And it was back in you all might remember this, back when there was a white woman that was running, and she was being called I forgot what she was saying, but she was running and they were talking about Delaware. I think she was running for senator or something. I don't know. Maybe she wanted to be a vice president or something. They were talking about the difference between northern Delaware and southern Delaware and how it's such a stark difference in such a small state, right? Of like ideals and like people and things like that. So I do want to just lift up like northern Delaware is considered a lot more progressive. Central and southern Delaware is considered a lot more conservative. As far as population, we have the numbers in northern Delaware, and the central and Sussex County is a little bit more rural. So I just want to give that background. Shané is in Newcastle County, which is considered, and I do that with parentheses, considered a more democratic and liberal space. And Erica is in Kent County, central Delaware, which is still liberal, but I feel like it's also a little bit different. Erica, go ahead. I'm sorry. You can talk about your experience.
Yeah, so I think experience-wise and a way to change things with what we're doing, I think we're all doing a lot of work, but I feel like something is being missed. And what that is the healthcare professionals. And Shané has mentioned this previously too. Like, you'll see us all gathering at meetings, right? But you don't see the hospital systems. You don't see the doctors. You don't see the nurses. And a lot of times with the disparities that are taking place, they're not on our hands. Like, doulas aren't medical professionals. We're support people, right? We're there to, help people learn about topics that they need to learn about, help them advocate for themselves, help keep them comfortable, and just walk them through steps. But I think more providers need to tap in. And we need to have more conversations with the hospital systems. And when I say conversations, I mean respectful, same level conversations. I just feel as though that's heavily important, because we can talk and do a whole bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, if the root cause is not addressed and if changes aren't made, then sometimes it'll be a little bit, I would say it would be less impact. Like if we could get everybody involved and everybody doing active work, I feel like a big change would happen. And then also to speak to Kent County, like it's odd to me when you know the makeup of the state. So you would think that Newcastle County is the capital of the state, right? But
Right.
We
we're
are.
in. I knew she was going to say
Listen,
so.
Shané doesn't want to come to Kent County. She's like,
No,
Dover?
Shanae thinks it's a road trip,
Dover?
but I respect it, right? But like Kent County is the capital of the whole state, and even with funding and resources and things, like right now with the resource center that we opened this month, we're the only diaper bank in Kent County. Like there's two in the state of, like, official diaper banks. There's two in the state of Delaware. Both are in Wilmington. So trying to bring, some things down here and make progress, and keep going downstate as we can. As Shané mentioned, we were working with another young lady to help her get things started down in Sussex. But I definitely think that, like I said, for those 2 points, getting the hospital systems and the doctors actually involved, and not just in conversation, but in actually making some changes. And then also making sure that Kent County and Sussex, I'll say Kent, because I think sometimes Sussex gets a little bit more love too than Kent. Like for some
Yeah,
reason,
no, I feel like that too, but that's just me, because but also
yes,
they have large systems. I think about like the large systems in Newcastle, and I think about the large systems in Sussex County. And
yeah,
I feel like they've been getting a lot of like support and development, I'll say. It
yeah,
seems like the development has kind of skipped like Kent County.
yeah.
So yeah. Um, hmm. I guess when I'm thinking about like what you shared, Erica, about like the large systems and trying to get everybody like to the table, like what do you think that would look like? Like what do you think would and Shané, you can answer this too, because I mean, I first of all, y'all both have been in you both have been first of all, you've been in this work too long not to have been in the conversations or spaces with, you know, large systems or organizations that definitely have influence and power. And I'm interested to know, like, what do you all think would be helpful, or what would you like to see?
I would like to see, specifically for me, all of the healthcare providers and hospitals come to the table first to listen. And I don't want y'all to, I need y'all to actively listen, because I feel like the ones who do come to the table, and I'm at these meetings, and myself or a group of us may express something, I still don't think we're listened to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think sometimes they come into the meetings pretending to listen, pretending to want to listen to us, but they already made a decision. So there's always a
Mm-hmm.
meeting before the meeting. So
Right.
I know by the time I got to the meeting, those group of
Right.
people met and already made a decision, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they are there to act like they're listening to the community, right? They'll create all these committees and task force. They'll keep creating them. Another task force, another over it. When we know what the answers are, the community has been telling you, please listen actively, take it in, apply it. And then also, I think healthcare providers and hospitals need to know that they are not the answer. And I think that we believe, like, large institutions, most times people turn to for answers. And for Black maternal health care, we can't turn to colleges and universities. We cannot turn to hospitals and establishments, right? It is the community. And not saying they're not a part of the conversation, because they are, but they have to listen, apply, and support. And they don't, there are times that they have not, right? And there's like history of that happening over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, it's exhausting. So sometimes I have to pull away from some of the meetings because I'm like, listen, like I'm tired of seeing y'all turn around and there's an announcement that there's a new program at the University of Delaware. We've been in meetings for 2 years with each other and y'all didn't mention this one time. Like things like that. And I'm like, I thought we were coming together. Maybe I'm gullible to come together and collaborate and work together. And then it doesn't happen. So then now I look like the angry one because I'm going to the meetings telling y'all that y'all program is not it. So that's where I am. Like, I definitely agree. We got to change and shift. It really has to come from the hospitals and health providers willing to hold themselves accountable for what they have been a part of, a system that is embedded in historical racism, sexism, all the isms. And then what do we need to do? I don't think it could be fixed because I think the system needs to be destroyed totally. But if we're going to keep the system, at least how do you mitigate it and remedy what you have done?
Right. No, I hear you. That gets me because I'm thinking about always like the meeting before the meeting. That is such a
I know.
dominant culture. It's such a dominant culture thing, right? Like we're on the same page. We all agree. Like we've done our workshop. So and also or like we've done our research. We've all made the same decision. And that definitely doesn't allow for you to exist in the moment to be able to be willing to absorb exactly what you're hearing. What I would like to see is that these large institutions that do have tons of resources figure out a way to funnel it into the communities that they serve and have a presence and not, like you said, replicate programs that are already created and functioning and established in the community, and actually support those programs that are already functioning in the community, whether it be referrals, whether it be funding, because that is what like listening to like the needs of your communities and actively partnering with your community looks like. What I've noticed too is that, like you said, Shané, like our answers we have the answers to the community. Like the community has the answers and has the kind of list of demands of what they need to be addressed and fixed. And I don't think large systems don't listen to that. That like they'll be in the space, they'll hear the 10 demands, and they're like, you know what? That's not it. We know what it is. It's this. And
So then I'm like, why waste my time? Like that's my whole thing. I don't waste my time. Don't bring me to the meeting if you're not going to listen.
Right. But another thing that I've noticed or have seen, and you touched on this a little bit, either a replication of a program that already exists in the community, which takes away, can take impact and take away resources from that already established program, or circumventing all of the programs that offer resources in the community to pull someone from outside of the community to provide that resource that was already established in the community. And I think we need to figure out a way to kind of call these systems in for when you do that. Like there needs to be a way that we prioritize within not just Delaware, but any state. Like you should keep the resources. You should keep, if you're looking for a subject matter expertise, we already have it within the state, right? And we should really focus on that. So that's what comes to mind for me.
And I also want to say there has been some people who I have gone in rooms with and they listen. Like I could think of a few people who have been open arms and just really listened, like, and really applied it. So I do want to shout them out too, because it's not all the way like complete disregard and not listening, but I think we feel the hurt more than we feel the support sometimes. But I know that there has been in rooms where I know that people have listened and applied, and I see that actively happening now. So,
I mean, it's all the work, right? And I feel like when you're in this space, we all just inherently take it on. But also like just on a self-care note, we also can't just sacrifice ourselves. Erica, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at myself. Like, just putting so much in that we're just not taking care of ourselves, and putting like our own bodies on the line to get, these systems to really do what they already should be doing, you know? All right. So we're going to transition a little bit. All right. What areas do you all think that we as a people and our communities need to better understand? And it's super broad. Like you can just and it can be about this work. It can be about healthcare in general.
One thing I want to say is I think we need to better understand how to work together. One thing that's been talked about a lot in different meetings is silos, and it's discouraging because I've said, like Shané lifted my organization up, like helped me get started. We're helping someone else. But sometimes I feel like it's like a competition. That's what I'm like. It's like some type of competition or I don't know what other words to use, but we're all working towards the same thing. And I, myself, and my organization can't reach every birthing person within the state. We don't have that capacity. Same for Shané, same for any other organization. So, not being threatened by one another, but actually working side by side, like, I think that is something that is so important because there's been, even over the past year, like, there's been so much like head bumping, there's been fussing and different things that take place. And it's like, we're supposed to be like, I look at it as being a doula, like I'm a person that's caring for people, right? So how do I care for people, but I can't get along with people that are doing the same work as me because I feel like I'm in competition with them or something? Like, so that's definitely a thing that I think that needs to be worked on. I can't speak for every other state, but I say within this state, like everybody needs to kind of come together and be able to work together and collaborate and have things run smooth without a whole bunch of extra.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
I don't know if that's the nature of people too, because I feel people try to like pit like other organizations against each other. So like someone might tell me something about another organization, and I'm like, well, I'll talk to that person. So like, like you can't tell me that. Like, so like people try to purposefully do that, and you have to be very conscious and aware of like changing that narrative and trying to not let it impact how you do your work and how you collaborate and show up with people. And I also think it's important too. You can collaborate and work with people and not personally like them.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. And
That's
I learned council. I learned that with city council. Like I can collaborate and work with some council people because I don't like half of them. And like honestly, I don't like them. But I know that if something needs to happen for my community, I'm willing to put all that to the side and do the work. You don't find people like that. People take the personal and then they will get right into the work. Like no, like we got moms to save. Like I don't got time but it's good to like people because that's good too to develop relationships. But you don't even have to do that. And I think that's one of the issues or problems, that everything is taken personal, right? And there's things I hear people like, oh, this was said about Black Mothers of Power. I'm like, all right, tell them to come run it then. Like, you think you could do a better job? Then come. That's my attitude. Like, I don't even care what nobody got to say, because if you want to do it, come and do it. And nobody steps up, because there's a lot of times that a meeting happens and I'm the only one there. People are not really ready to do the work.
Yeah, and just to add, they're not ready to do the work, but they want to tell you how to do it when you're already doing so much. And it's like, people come all the time with, oh, you should do this, oh, you should do that. And it's like, darn, like if you only knew, like this week right now, I'm not supposed to be doing anything because I'm supposed to be getting better, right? But I have meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and I can't say no because it's myself. Yes, I have an assistant, but like I'm kind of still like the face of my organization. I have to be here and show up in these places. So yeah, it's a lot of that. Oh, I have this idea. Oh, I have this. Well, why are you only doing this? Why are you only doing that? Well, if you only knew, like
I tell them, hey, you ready to partner? You gonna do it?
Listen, you can't mention anything to Shané without her being like, "What's the date then? When are we gonna do it? Let's do it." And you're like, "All right, wait, let me just get the thought all the way together. Let me get all the details first." And I love that. I love that about you because you are definitely a cheerleader and a champion. And I think that it's a great, like, you're a great asset for anybody that is trying to do this work within the state. And we all need to have that, like, we all need to respond to this work the same way that you do, the same way that you do, Erica, like by inviting people in and saying, like, this is what the need is, and then realizing that everybody has their own skill set and vision and perspective, and there's room for everybody at the table, because like you said, we can't reach every single person, and there's so many amazing programs and resources out there. We need to figure out how to create that platform and space so that people can get the things that they need, because I don't even know sometimes half of the programs and things that are available, and then someone mentions it offhand, I'm like, what? That's a thing? Like, we have that? And I mean, I know I'm not the only one. I'm still learning right now about programs that are popping up, or ways to get resources. So yeah, I just wanted to lift that up.
I always feel like I can't imagine what it's like to live in a larger state. Like I already don't want to drive to Dover. That's an hour. But it's like,
first of all, it's not an hour. It's not an hour. It's about like 45, 50 minutes.
50 minutes to 60, it's the same. But like, I imagine like the connection, because like I'm always, like you said, learning about a new person, a new program. Like within we can go through Delaware 3 hours, I guess. I don't know, 4 hours. Like, and I'm always constantly learning of new people, new initiatives going on. And then my thing is like, how do I support it? And because we're so small, like our truly really isn't, in a grand scheme of time, isn't long. So like that natural connection of networking can easily happen. Really, like Sussex, like compared to other states, that's not far.
Right.
Like that's just because we live in a little state and we use the little things. So
no, I hear you. I also think about like when you're saying about larger states and resources and things like that. I feel like it's an opportunity, right? Like we should, because we're small, we should really have a really tight network in a system, right? So like, how do we get to that space where we can have like a really tight system of resources? Because I know we have like 211 and like other things, but like I'm actively, as a member of my community, seeing areas that we need to focus on, and deficits within our community, like housing, right? Access to care.
yeah,
They're all things, and I'm witnessing it in real time, becoming increasingly like something that we have to do, like crisis, like hitting crisis.
but that is reproductive justice, right? So reproductive justice is talking about all of those things that impact someone's ability to not parent, to not be pregnant, to be pregnant,
and parent their child.
Right? Like housing, big deal. Food access, like environmental and justice, like all of those things are connected. And incarceration, gun violence in our community, those are all things connected.
Absolutely.
Like lead exposure in our community impacts when you're pregnant and what you pass down to your children. It impacts the very behavior and the insides of a child, right? So like all of those things are connected. So for me, like we do like our bail fund, we raise money and for Mother's Day for women who are incarcerated, and we bail out moms who become incarcerated in the state of Delaware, right? So for me, that is all RJ related to like connected to what it means to be a doula.
It is.
Or what it means to be a midwife, or what it means to be in a healthcare system, because that impacts your mental health. Like someone being incarcerated impacts a whole community.
Yes, it does. And if Tasha from our team is on the line watching. She's probably losing it right now because that is her.
That's her.
That's her thing. That's her thing. That is her thing. So she'll be reaching out to you all soon. But okay, so one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is when you were touching on all the things and all of the intersections, Shané, do we want to transition to talk about like what are y'all goals and focus for 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, Erica can go.
So I really wanted you to go because
I know.
you have the hot ticket item. I want you to talk about that.
Well, I think one of the biggest goals for me is this coalition. Mm-hmm. So we started a coalition, Black-led organizations focused on RJ issues, right? Mm-hmm. I think that is going to, like, Black Mothers in Power individually doing great things, right? But I think that is even more powerful because when you step up to a table by yourself, people may listen. All right, you can rock the table a little bit. You might be able to throw the chair. But if it's 10 of y'all in that room, 20 of y'all, 30 of y'all who are coming in that room saying, we want this as a community, mm-hmm. it's different.
Yes, it does.
People listen, okay? And I'm learning that.
Collective power. Collective power.
Collective power. And I think that is more impactful than anything else, especially with the rollout of Medicaid reimbursement. And now they're talking about doula entity supports and who's going to do this, and college universities doing doula trainings. Like me by myself saying that I don't want that ain't enough. But if I have 12 organizations of people who within each organization have all these backings, that hits different. So like when I think of like a goal or focus is really building out that coalition, what it looks like with the services we offer the community. And then individually, when I think about Black Mothers in Power, I also think of it still the things that I'm doing very interconnected, because like birth centers, I would love to have or make sure there's a birth center that is culturally competent in every single county. Well, it's only 3. I said like it's a lot, but all our
it's a lot.
Right? So like me starting in Wilmington, like trying to open up a birth center, it's in my head, it's connected and networked to Kent and Sussex. Mm-hmm. Because I am like we're all learning in this process. I never opened up a birth center a day in my life. Okay.
But you're going to do it. You're going to do it. But you're going to do it.
It's going to happen. Like, I know it's going to happen. I feel it, but I'm laying the groundwork. So then when it's time for Dover or for somewhere in Sussex County to get a birth center, I got the blueprint. And I'm not looking to say, yo, you got to give me $20,000 for this blueprint. Like, I'm not looking for that. I'm like, yo, this is what I did here. Like, this is next. So, like, it's laying a blueprint, the foundation for the other 2 counties, because it's interconnected. Like, I care and love about specifically the city of Wilmington, but I also know that there's Black women in Sussex and Kent who needs the same services, right? So for me, it's like, even with the individual work that we're doing, in my head, like when I think of like the big plan, it's still connected to like this collective of people. So like one of our big goals this year is birth center, looking into transitional housing. So at first I was thinking of Black Mothers in Power getting transitional housing, but I was sitting there one day and I'm like, yo, wouldn't it be dope if it was like a network throughout the state, a transitional housing? So then I reached out to Erica. I was like, yo, Wilmington Housing Authority giving out houses. You probably see a Dover Housing Authority doing it. You feel me? Like, that's like naturally like, yo, like, boom, if I start, this person can do it, because then the blueprint or foundation, and I can make the mistakes, right? I could do all of the, and then pass that on. So those are things that we're really looking at, like a birth center, transitional housing, building capacity in the state of Delaware. I think it really is connected to the coalition really for me, but like, how do we find the experienced doulas in our state and then train them to be trainers, right? So that now we have more doula trainings to exist, because there's room for PIC to exist, me to exist, Erica to exist, and other doula trainers in the state of Delaware, because we need numbers, but we also need quality, and we also need it to be community based, right? So I also think about like this year is like really how do we build capacity, and how do we start looking at our midwifery network here, and also how do we look at the lactation profession here? Like how do we look at those things like this year and build it? Because we got to build capacity. And I think I want it to be very community based, because I hear conversations of other like large entities wanting to be that, and it's like, no, we can do it. I just need a little bit of funding.
Oh,
Share a flyer, bro. I do to try to help me recruit people. That's all I need from you. So like those are like the goals, focus our action plans for 2024. When I think of Black Mothers in Power, it's like really that like being able to try to do things here in Wilmington, but also expand it out to the other cities and counties within the state of Delaware. So like really that's where we are when I think about like 2024 and like our goal or focus. And of course, like I never ran a nonprofit, so like I'm trying to learn how to like I didn't know what a P&L statement was about a year and a half ago. Okay, so I'm trying to learn those little things of just making sure that I'm running a proper nonprofit and that it's sustainable. Like how do I make sure Black Mothers in Power is around in 5 years, right? Because I don't see the Black maternal health care going away in 5 years, maybe in 50 years, and I don't even want to be in existence once we fix the issue or whatever. But while the issue exists, how do we stay sustainable in the market? And I think I froze.
We can hear you though. We can hear you.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you. I think you had a little bit of a delay, but we can definitely hear you. And everything you said was, I wish I had the emojis right now for the 100%, because that was gold. Can you hear us today? Hold on. All right. Well, while Shané is getting back up, I was gonna say, did you want to go ahead and talk about what 2024 looks like for you, Erica?
Yep. So just getting the Family Resource Center out there more. So we opened January 9th. And we have the diaper bank. We're a hunger relief partner. So we have food that people can come and get, perishable and non-perishable items. We have a lot of things going on in there, basic needs items.
Listen, it's a lot. You're rolling out a flyer like every day.
Yes, and a lot of that is having my assistant Gabby, who was actually one of the original doulas that we trained in our 2021 cohort. She was able to join me, and that has helped, because as Shané was mentioning, running a nonprofit, like, listen, I like to give back, and I wanted to give back to the community, but the bylaws, the articles of incorporation, the cash flow analysis, the this, that, and the third, sometimes I'd be like, what now? Like, what is this next? But we're also doing the work, but we have to make sure that we're doing the work and doing the stuff for these nonprofits the correct way. And it can be stressful and overwhelming. So yeah, so trying to make sure that the center is reaching people, because I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. Like I'll see in the mom groups on Facebook, I need diapers, or I need this, I need that. And I'm like, we got it, come get it. Like, we're here, but people don't know. So just trying to make sure that we spread the word and have an established footprint in the community. Like, we're here, but make sure that everybody knows that we're here. As Shané had mentioned, we definitely want to look into the transitional housing piece, because we get so many referrals of pregnant people or new parents that are unhoused. And I mean, to be honest, like, any of us could be one paycheck, one situation, one issue away from being unhoused with the way the economy is. Like, rent is high, food is high, like everything is high. So just trying to make sure that we, are able to better help the unhoused, especially those that are pregnant and new parents and have kids and different things. And then finally, also the birth center. So we definitely want to get a birth center in Kent County. We kind of actually already have our eye on a space that's down the street from where we ultimately are at right now. So we already have it in mind. Thanks to Gabby, she's like, "That's the birth center." I'm like, you know what? That is the birth center. So just trying to work through that and make sure that we realize, for one, what we are doing, and acknowledging the work that we're actively doing right now, but also continuing to work towards progressing and reaching those avenues. So like I said, transitional housing and the birth center. Not for 2024. I don't think the birth
It can be
center
beyond. It's beyond 2024 and beyond.
Yes, but it's a goal.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think I think about like all of the like areas of focus for you all and like what you're offering to the community, and it's so needed. I think about the community resource center, because where it's located is it's a great space. And if you know Delaware, we're a small city, um, and Grove Family Resource Center is located downtown, and it's just it's been really hard to they're trying to like revitalize our downtown, um, and it's smack dab in the heart, like in the middle of like the community, um, and it's a beautiful space.
Thank you. We worked
Um,
hard. We're at 125A West Lockerman Street. So Lockerman on the corner is Governors. If you're familiar with Esteem, the sneaker store, we're their neighbors. So everybody who's on, if you're in Dover, or even if you're not in Dover and you're driving one day, come check us out.
Listen, I need you all to make sure that you're following Do Care Doula and also Black Mothers in Power, because when I say that they are always offering programs to the community, they are like free, low cost, whatever you need. And if one thing I know is, if they don't have it, they might know someone that does have it. And that's exactly how we want to be in relationship and community, especially doing this work. Before I ask you what is your call to action, because we're going to get to that, I just want to say thank you both for like sharing your experiences, of like what led you to the work, some of the common barriers, because there might be someone out there that's like, I might be interested in doing a nonprofit, but I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know that I'm at home and watching this. I didn't even know it was a consideration that I could do this thing, or I have this idea, or I could serve my community. Um, and I think the biggest thing is to just do it. Just do it. And if you have questions, just do it and ask and find someone, find anyone. Um, because there's so much work out here to be done, and there's such a need in our community. I mean, we talked on like all the things, housing. I mean, pick something, because we need all of the help and resources. Um, but what I do want to ask you now, Erica, is what is your call to action? Like, if you're watching this, and you can do a call to action for, it can be to your community, it can be to, large systems. What would you like to see? What would be helpful?
Sure. So as I spoke earlier with the larger institutions and medical professionals, a call to action to them would be to actually listen and do the work, and then also be respectful. Like, that's something that I notice. I don't know why, but sometimes doulas or community health workers don't often get the respect. Like, we're viewed a little bit different. And it's a struggle for me because I'm also a nurse. So I see there's some bias there. And yeah, it's troublesome. So definitely stepping up and actually not just sitting and taking notes at a meeting, or not just hearing things and like throwing little things out there like, yeah, we'll do, like actually being intentional on doing work, doing bias training, working with community organizations to learn more about what they do, so that they can refer them to people that may have a need. There's so many calls to action that I can think of, but I'd say be intentional. The larger hospital systems and medical professionals, even with the community, if you know somebody needs something, just point them in the right direction. Know your resources, learn more about your resources, and just make sure that everybody has the help and support that they need.
No, I appreciate that, Erica. And how can people reach you?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said, how can people reach you and donate?
Sure. So we have social media, both Facebook and Instagram. Is Do Care Doula Foundation. Then our website is Do Care Doula Foundation Inc.org, and they can make donations there. And then also we have dedoulas.com. That's our other website, and you'll see a lot of our events that we have. We have something going on all the time.
Yes, you do. Thank you. Shané, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am here.
All right, cool. So what is your call to action?
So a lot of things Erica said too. But most importantly, like if you see someone who is pregnant, a parent, like refer them to us, right? We're always looking for people to serve. We have doulas on deck ready to work with pregnant individuals. If they get Medicaid starting January 1, it will be covered under Medicaid, so it'll be at no cost for that individual. So like that's just important information to pass along. Like today, sometimes I use the word, I just talk about doulas like everyone knows about it, but somebody really paused me today. It was like, what are you talking about? What's a doula? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to know what a doula is. Like, this is a doula, right? So just educating yourself about what a doula is, and then being able to share that information on top of everything Erica said. So that would be my call to action. Also, pay attention to our legislators. That would be my second piece, especially on the state and a lot of like county and city council. We don't do much around RJ work, reproductive work, but on a state side, you have legislators who do, right? So pay attention to what laws are coming up, what you can come out. You can join virtually. You could be home cooking with the kids, and you can join, listen on a meeting, make a public comment. Like those things are important, and they sway legislators to do the right thing.
All right. So all I have to say is let's get to work, y'all.
Yes, let's get to work.
All right. So be on the lookout. Thank you all so much for joining us. Oh, Shané, did you tell everybody where they could reach you and donate?
Yeah, the best place to reach me is to go to our website, blackmothersempower.org. There's a contact page that has our center address. You can always come by there, our phone number, our email address. We have a little chat widget so it connects to our system. So you'll be able to connect with us if you need anything and need to get in contact with us. So that would be the best way, is to visit our website and fill out any form, and it will get to us, and we'll be able to service you and any families, or to be able to answer any additional questions.
All right, y'all. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll make sure that we post the details, and this recording will go up. So feel free to share within your community. And if you know somebody that you think needs to see it, maybe at a large system, so they can start thinking about approaching the work differently. But thank you again for joining us. We will see you next time. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Of